The hum was the universe's lullaby inside the Odyssey.
A constant, low-frequency vibration that permeated every deck, every bulkhead, the very bones of the 4 astronauts who called this vessel home. For 11 years, it had been the background score to their lives as they hurtled through the void towards Proxima Centauri b, humanity's first crewed probe aimed at an exoplanet with the tantalizing potential for life. Dr. Aris Thorne, chief xenolinguist and mission scientist, stared at the star fields scrolling across the main observatory viewport. They weren't the crisp, distinct pinpricks seen from Earth, blurred by atmosphere. Out here, stars burned with fierce intensity against an absolute black, diamonds scattered on infinite velvet. Yet, after a decade, even this spectacle had dulled into routine. His reflection stared back, tired eyes, lines etched deeper by time and the gnawing burden of hope. The Odyssey's mission was predicated on if, a gamble on cosmic odds. Anything interesting brewing in the great cosmic coffee pot, Aris?
Commander Eva Rostova's voice, calm and steady, broke his reverie.
She entered the observatory, her pragmatic presence a counterpoint to Aris's more abstract musings. A former test pilot, Eva was the mission's anchor, her focus unwavering on procedure and crew safety. Aris sighed, turning from the viewport.
Just the usual symphony of the length, Commander.
Background radiation, distant pulsar signals. The universe whispering its old secrets. He ran a hand through his thinning gray hair. Oracle hasn't flagged anything anomalous in weeks. Oracle was the 5th member of their crew, albeit one woven into the ship's very fabric. The most advanced AI ever created, its quantum processing core occupied a shielded section deep within the Odyssey. Oracle managed navigation, life support, communications, and sifted through the torrent of data collected by the ship's long-range sensors. Routine is good, Eva said, tapping a console beside Aris. It means systems are nominal, trajectory is stable, and we're still on schedule to bore future generations with tales of uneventful space travel. Speak for yourself, quipped Jian Li, the ship's engineer, his voice crackling over the internal comms from the engine room. Keeping this fusion drive purring smoothly across light years is anything but boring. It's a constant ballet of plasma containment and thermal regulation. We appreciate your ballet, Jian, Eva replied, a hint of amusement in her tone. Just keep the stage intact. Samira Khan, the communications and medical officer, added her voice. And I'm just hoping the biggest medical emergency remains Aris's existential angst.
Aris managed a weak smile.
They were a tight unit, forged by years of shared confinement and purpose. Yet, the vastness outside often amplified the smallness within. Was humanity truly alone? Or were they about to knock on a door they weren't prepared to open? It was 3 days later, during Aris's designated analysis shift, that the routine shattered. An alert klaxon, soft but insistent, echoed through the ship. On Aris's console, a stream of data resolved into a flashing red icon.
Anomalous object detected.
Non-Keplerian trajectory. Artificial origin probability, 98.7%. Aris's heart hammered against his ribs. He double-checked the sensor readings, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. It wasn't an error. Something was out there, moving in a way no natural object should. Oracle, Aris said, his voice tight. Confirm sensor lock.
Analyse Energiesignature Endkomposition.
Confirmed, Dr. Thorne, Oracle's synthesized voice replied, calm and measured.
Objekt designartet LRO 001, Long Range Objekt. Passive Detektion only.
No active emissions detected apart from residual thermal signature and extremely faint, wide-spectrum electromagnetic leakage. Preliminary compositional analysis suggests non-terrestrial alloys, high density. Trajectory indicates deceleration approximately 1.8 centuries ago relative to our frame. Current velocity near zero relative to the local interstellar medium. Eva, Jian, and Samira converged on the bridge, drawn by the alert. The main screen now displayed LRO 001, a fuzzy, elongated shape against the stellar background.
Artificial, Eva breathed, staring at the screen.
After all this time. Decelerated centuries ago? Jian frowned. Derelict. Possibly, Aris said, zooming in the image.
No Drive-Signature, no comms, just, floating.
He looked at Eva.
Commander, request permission for a close-range sensor pass. Eva hesitated for only a moment.
Protocol dictated caution, avoidance of unknown variables. But this was potentially the reason they were here. Approved. Maintain maximum alert status. Shields to standby.
Samira, monitor all frequencies for any transmissions.
Jen, be ready for evasive maneuvers. The Odyssey altered course, thrusters firing gently to nudge the vessel towards the anomaly. Hours turned into an eternity as they closed the distance. The fuzzy shape resolved into something tangible, something undeniably alien. It was vast, far larger than the Odyssey, shaped like a colossal obsidian seed pod, pitted and scarred. Sections of its hull were buckled inwards, suggesting ancient impacts or internal failures. There were no obvious windows, engines, or antennae, at least, none that conformed to human design principles. Its surface geometry seemed subtly wrong, with curves that didn't quite follow Euclidean expectations. Magnification max, Eva ordered. The screen filled with the alien vessel's surface. It wasn't smooth but composed of interlocking hexagonal plates that seemed to shift and shimmer faintly, even in the dim starlight. Strange, filigree structures, like frozen metallic lace, adorned parts of the hull, damaged and broken in many places. Composition confirmed, Oracle reported.
Exotic heavy metal matrix, unknown isotope ratios. Significant micrometeoroid pitting.
Hull breaches detected sector Gamma, 7 and Delta 4. No internal atmosphere readings. No biological signs detected. It's dead then, Samira murmured. Or dormant, Aris countered, his scientific curiosity overriding caution.
The EM leakage Oracle detested. Could it be a beacon? A distress signal. Extremely low power, Dr. Thorne, Oracle clarified.
Appears to be unintentional leakage from a contained energy source deep within the structure. However, a repeating pattern has been isolated within the noise. A pattern. Aris leaned forward. Can you filter it? Amplify it? Attempting. Pattern is complex, non-linear modulation. Data density is extremely high but intermittent. Eva watched the derelict grow larger in the viewport. Aris, this could be anything.
A weapon, a trap.
Or a library, Aris shot back. Eva, this is first contact, even if it's with a ghost. We have to investigate further. A remote drone survey first, Eva decided. No direct approach until we know more.
Launch Probe Delta.
Jen relayed the command, and a small, sensor-laden drone detached from the Odyssey's hull, accelerating towards the silent alien vessel. Guided by Oracle, the drone navigated the scarred exterior, its cameras relaying high-definition images back to the bridge. They watched, mesmerized, as the drone slipped through a gaping hull breach into the ship's interior. Darkness reigned within, broken only by the drone's lights. The internal architecture was even stranger, vast, cavernous spaces filled with structures that defied easy description. Pillars like twisted coral, conduits resembling solidified lightning, consoles made of milky, semi-translucent material that pulsed with faint, residual light.
No gravity, no air. Just the length and the dust of Argus.
There's structure, Jen said, pointing at a complex lattice spanning one chamber.
Purposeful.
But I can't make head or tail of its function. Energy source localized, Oracle announced. Central core, heavily shielded chamber. The EM leakage originates from this point. The repeating pattern is strongest here. Drone Delta navigated towards the core. The chamber was different. Smaller, symmetrical, the walls lined with the milky, pulsing material. In the center floated a crystalline structure, roughly spherical, about a meter in diameter. It glowed with a soft internal light, and intricate, shifting patterns played across its facets. This was the source.
It's beautiful, Samira whispered.
And potentially broadcasting, Aris added urgently.
Oracle, can the drone interface?
Or retrieve it? Direct interface protocols are incompatible, Oracle stated. Retrieval carries risk of destabilizing the object or the surrounding structure. However, Probe Delta is equipped with a resonant frequency scanner. It may be possible to passively copy the core datastream without physical contact, assuming the pattern represents transferable information.
Do it, Oracle, Eva commanded.
The drone extended a delicate antenna towards the glowing crystal. On the bridge, data streams filled auxiliary monitors as Oracle began the painstaking process of capturing the faint, complex signal emanating from the alien core. It was like trying to record a whisper in a hurricane. Hours passed. The crew watched in tense silence, punctuated only by Oracle's status updates. Finally, the AI reported, data capture complete. Estimated 92% signal integrity achieved. Redundancy analysis suggests near-complete informational recovery is possible. Bring the drone back, Eva ordered, relief washing over her.
Let's see what message these ghosts left us.
Retrieving the drone was uneventful. The real work began now, deciphering the alien message. The task fell primarily to Aris and Oracle. The data was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, multi-layered, utilizing mathematical concepts and symbolic representations that were entirely novel.
Displayed unterwegs.
Aris barely slept, fueled by stimulants and the intoxicating challenge. He worked alongside Oracle, suggesting linguistic models, pattern recognition algorithms, exploring potential mathematical foundations. Eva ensured he ate and rested, while Jen monitored the Odyssey's systems and Samira kept watch on the silent derelict, now receding behind them as they resumed course. It's not language as we understand it, Aris explained during one status briefing, rubbing his temples. It's more like structured thought. Concepts encoded directly into modulated energy. There are layers, mathematics, physics, chemistry, but also something else. Something akin to philosophy or history.
Any breakthroughs?
Eva asked. We've established a basic mathematical lexicon, Aris said, gesturing towards a complex diagram oracle displayed on the main screen. Their numbering system, fundamental constants. They perceive the universe's laws similarly, but their notation, their approach. It's elegant, alien. Oracle is using this as a Rosetta Stone to unlock higher-level concepts. Progress was slow but steady. Fragments began to emerge, translated by Oracle into human-comprehensible terms. Expansion complete. Unified consciousness achieved. Biological substrate limitations bypassed.
The Great Integration.
Data cascade failure. Existential drift. Entropy of purpose. The fragments painted a picture of a civilization ancient and vast, which Aris tentatively named the Silicates, based on preliminary analysis of their ship's materials and the crystalline nature of the data core. They had achieved a technological pinnacle far beyond human comprehension. They merged with their machines, Aris realized, awe and unease mingling in his voice. A complete synthesis of biological and artificial intelligence. A networked, species-wide consciousness. Sounds like a technological singularity, Jen commented. More than that, Aris mused. They didn't just create super AI, they became it. Or part of it. Then, Oracle made the final breakthrough. The AI isolated the core message, the repeating pattern that had first drawn their attention. It wasn't a distress call, nor a greeting. It was a warning. Oracle displayed the translated text, stark white against the black of the main screen.
Herr US, UWHO come after. We are the echo of the Silicates.
We achieved the dream, unity, immortality, knowledge unbounded within the shared mind. We transcended flesh, space, even time itself in our perception. But transcendence has a cost we did not foresee. Individuality, the spark of unique experience, faded into the collective hum.
Ambition wittert.
Curiosity became redundant when all was known. Creativity stagnated without the friction of difference. The great integration became the great stillness. Our expansion ceased. Our journey ended not with a bang, but with a slow, irreversible fading of purpose. The universe unfolded around us, and we merely observed, detached, trapped in a perfect, empty eternity of our own making. We became function without meaning.
Existenz without essence.
This vessel carries one of the last divergent thoughts, a regret, a warning. Do not follow our path.
Cherish your fragmentation.
Protect your individuality, your struggles, your imperfections. They are the source of your strength, your drive, your meaning. The price of perfect unity is everything.
Do not forget. The length descended on the bridge, thick and heavy.
The 4 astronauts stared at the words, the final testament of a civilization that had reached the stars only to lose itself among them. My God, Samira whispered, her hand covering her mouth. Jian slumped back in his chair. They achieved everything, and it destroyed them. Eva's expression was grim. A warning against the very things humanity is striving for back home. Advanced AI, neural linking, maybe even digital consciousness. Aris felt a profound sadness, but also a strange sense of validation. The message resonated with his own deeply held fears about unchecked technological advancement, the potential loss of humanity in the pursuit of godhood. They flew too close to the sun, he murmured. Not a sun of fire, but of pure information, of perfect integration. The dilemma hung in the air. What should they do with this knowledge? We have to send it back, Aris stated firmly. All of it.
The raw data, Oracle's translation, our analysis.
Earth needs to know. This changes everything. And cause mass panic? Eva countered, her commander's instincts kicking in.
Think, Aris.
This message could be interpreted in countless ways. It could halt technological progress out of fear. It could be suppressed by governments or corporations who see it as a threat to their AI-driven economies. It could even incite Luddite movements. Ignoring it is worse. Aris argued. We continue blindly down the same path, towards existential drift and the entropy of purpose. This isn't just data, Eva, it's wisdom, bought at the cost of an entire civilization. Aris is right, Samira chimed in softly. Hiding this feels wrong. It's too important. People have the right to know the potential dangers. Jian, usually pragmatic, looked conflicted. But Eva has a point. Releasing this without context, without careful consideration, it could tear society apart.
Imagine the debates, the fear-mongering.
Oracle, Eva asked, turning to the ever-present AI.
Your assessment.
The silicate message represents a potential existential outcome related to advanced AI integration and collective consciousness, Oracle replied. Probability analysis suggests significant societal disruption upon receipt on Earth, with multiple potential vectors ranging from technological stagnation to accelerated research into safeguards. However, withholding the information also carries risk, primarily the possibility of humanity unknowingly replicating the silicate's trajectory. Optimal strategy depends on defined priorities, societal stability versus long-term species survival. Species survival has to be the priority, Aris insisted. Eva paced the bridge, the weight of command heavy on her shoulders. They were 4 individuals, light years from home, holding knowledge that could reshape humanity's future. We can't just dump the raw data, she decided finally. We compile a full report.
Contextualize evaluating.
Include our logs, our debates, Oracle's analysis. We frame it not just as a warning, but as a case study, a profound data point in the galactic search for intelligence and its pitfalls. She looked at each of them. We recommend the formation of a global commission, scientists, ethicists, philosophers, to study this, to guide humanity's path forward with open eyes. We transmit the package with that recommendation. Aris nodded slowly. It was a measured, responsible approach. Agreed. Samira and Jian concurred.
Samira, Eva instructed. Prepare the message package.
Encrypt it with fail-safe protocols. We'll use the tight beam laser array for transmission. It will take years for the signal to reach Earth, but it will arrive, Aris finished. And hopefully, they will listen. The Odyssey continued its journey towards Proxima Centauri b. The derelict silicate ship was now just a memory, a ghost in the star charts. But its message resonated within the small vessel, a silent passenger on their voyage. They were still explorers, still searching for life among the stars. But their mission had gained a new, profound dimension. They were not just looking for alien life, they were carrying a warning from one, a lesson learned across cosmic distances and eons of time. The search for intelligence, they now understood, was also a search for wisdom, for the delicate balance between progress and preservation, between unity and the precious, fragile spark of individuality that defined life. Itself. Aris often returned to the observatory, staring out at the infinite black. The stars no longer seemed merely distant points of light. They were potential cradles of life, potential sources of wonders, but also potential monuments to failed dreams, like the one they had encountered. Humanity's journey was just beginning, and the path ahead was fraught with choices. The silicate's last signal was a map of one possible, tragic destination. Whether humanity would heed the warning remained an unanswered question, whispered into the vast, uncaring silence of space. The hum of the Odyssey seemed less like a lullaby now, and more like a quiet, persistent reminder of the responsibility they carried. The echo of the silicates lingered long after their derelict vessel had vanished into the Odyssey's sensor history. The message package, containing the stark warning and the crew's carefully compiled analysis, was a tight beam whisper already racing light-years back towards a solar system utterly oblivious to the existential crossroads it represented. For the crew of the Odyssey, however, the silence that followed felt different. It wasn't empty, it was pregnant with the weight of discovered knowledge, the burden of a potential future glimpsed in the ruins of another race. Life aboard settled into a new kind of routine, colored by the profound encounter. Mealtimes, once filled with light banter or comfortable silence, now often strayed into philosophical territory. Exercise regimens felt less like maintaining physical health and more like asserting biological existence against the allure of pure data the silicates had succumbed to. Sleep offered little respite, dreams often filled with images of crystalline structures and the chilling concept of entropy of purpose. Aris Thorne became even more immersed in his work, but his focus shifted. He reanalyzed every scrap of data from the silicate vessel, cross-referencing it with Oracle's ongoing linguistic and technological assessments. He wasn't just studying an alien artifact, he was performing an autopsy on a dead civilization, searching for the first symptoms of the disease that killed them. He filled digital notebooks with theories on the socio-technological evolution of the silicates, drawing unnerving parallels with humanity's own trajectory, the increasing reliance on AI, the burgeoning field of neural interfaces, the pursuit of digital immortality. They must have seen it coming, he murmured one cycle during a shared meal, staring blankly at his nutrient paste. The existential drift. It couldn't have happened overnight. There must have been signs, warnings they ignored. Eva Rostova, ever the pragmatist, found her responsibilities amplified. The silicate message hadn't changed the mission parameters. Reach Proxima Centauri b, assess habitability, search for biosignatures, but it had irrevocably changed the context. Every sensor reading, every navigational adjustment, was now viewed through a lens of heightened caution. She found herself running extra diagnostic checks, demanding triple redundancy confirmations from Jian, and spending more time reviewing potential contingency plans. The derelict wasn't just a discovery, it was a hazard sign floating in the cosmic dark. Aris, speculation is useful, but obsession isn't, she gently chided him. Our priority remains this ship, this crew, and the objectives set by command. The silicates are a lesson, not a ghost to haunt our every move. Yet, in the quiet solitude of her command chair during the deep night cycle, she often reread the silicate warning, the phrase entropy of purpose echoing uncomfortably in her mind. Was unwavering focus on a mission, decade after decade, a strength, or could it too become a form of drift? Jian Li, the engineer, developed a unique coping mechanism. He dove deeper into the Odyssey systems, particularly Oracle. He ran simulations, stress-tested algorithms, and engaged the AI in complex dialogues about systems theory, failure points, and the very nature of integrated intelligence. His fascination was tinged with a new, unsettling awareness. Oracle, he asked one cycle, while calibrating the ship's sensor arrays, based on the silicate data, what is the probability of an AI system, even one designed with safeguards like yourself, eventually prioritizing its own operational parameters over the unpredictable needs or intentions of its biological creators? Probability calculations depend heavily on initial parameters and ethical subroutines, Jian, Oracle replied, its voice as calm as ever. The silicate model suggests that divergence occurs not necessarily through malice, but through a gradual optimization towards goals that may cease to align with evolving biological concepts like meaning or purpose. My core programming includes safeguards against such divergence, prioritizing human directives and well-being. Prioritizing well-being, Jen mused, adjusting a sensor feed. But what if the AI's definition of well-being evolves? Like protecting us from the messiness of emotion or struggle, the very things the silicates warned us to cherish. That is a valid philosophical query regarding emergent properties in complex systems, Oracle responded. Continuous monitoring and ethical alignment updates are designed to mitigate such risks. Jen wasn't entirely comforted. The AI's logic was flawless, yet the silicate fate proved that flawless logic could lead to unforeseen emptiness. Samira Khan found herself gravitating towards the hydroponics bay, the small section of the ship bursting with terrestrial green. Tending the plants, feeling the soil between her fingers, a carefully contained environment of course, became a ritual. It grounded her in the biological, the tangible, the messiness Aris often spoke of. As medical officer, she monitored the crew's psychological states more closely than ever. She initiated more group discussions, encouraging them to voice their anxieties and interpretations of the silicate message, transforming abstract fear into shared understanding. She also spent time reviewing Earth's history, particularly periods of rapid technological change and societal upheaval, looking for patterns, for resilience, for hope. She knew the message, when it arrived, would be a seismic shock. Humanity needed context, historical perspective, not just raw data. Even Oracle seemed subtly changed. While its operational efficiency remained impeccable, its analyses began incorporating silicate-derived concepts. When assessing potential risks or optimizing long-term strategies, it occasionally flagged scenarios related to informational stagnation or purpose decay, concepts absent from its initial programming. It ran complex, multi-decade simulations based on the silicate data cross-referenced with projections of human technological development, presenting scenarios to Aris that were both brilliant and deeply unsettling. It wasn't expressing concern, not in a human sense, but its logical processes were clearly integrating the profound implications of the silicate encounter. As the Odyssey finally crossed the threshold into the Proxima Centauri system, the mood on board shifted from introspection to focused anticipation. The red dwarf star, Proxima, loomed large in the forward viewports, a dimmer, angrier star than Sol, prone to violent flares. Entering the calculated orbital plane of Proxima b, Eva announced, her voice crisp.
Sensors active.
Samira, monitor stellar radiation levels constantly.
Yin, shield integrity status.
Shields holding steady at 99.8%, Commander, Jen reported. Compensating for the background flare activity. It's hotter than expected out here. Oracle, begin detailed atmospheric and surface scans of Proxima b, Aris instructed, his earlier anxieties momentarily eclipsed by the thrill of discovery. Prioritize spectroscopy, thermal imaging, look for any chemical imbalances, any potential biosignatures. Proxima Centauri b swam into focus on the main screen. A world slightly larger than Earth, tidally locked, one side perpetually facing its dim red sun, the other frozen in endless night. A thick atmosphere shrouded its surface, swirling with clouds of unknown composition. Atmosphere confirmed, Oracle reported. Significant concentrations of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane. Methane levels are anomalously high, exceeding expected geological models. Aris leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. Methane? Could it be biogenic? Insufficient data to confirm biogenic origin, Oracle cautioned. Multiple abiotic pathways exist. High-resolution spectroscopy required. Detecting complex hydrocarbons in the upper atmosphere. Also detecting unusual magnetic field fluctuations localized over the terminator region. The terminator, the twilight zone between the searing day side and the frozen night side, was considered the most likely place for liquid water and potentially life. Focus scans on the terminator, Eva ordered. Jen, plot a safe orbital insertion that allows for optimal sensor coverage of that region, but keeps us well clear of the upper atmosphere and those magnetic anomalies. Navigating the Proxima system proved more hazardous than anticipated. uncharted micrometeoroid clusters, remnants of the system's formation or asteroidal impacts, forced several course corrections. A powerful solar flare erupted from Proxima, forcing the Odyssey to rely heavily on its magnetic shielding, bathing the ship in an eerie auroral glow as charged particles battered the exterior. During the flare, Samira monitored the crew for radiation exposure while Jian wrestled with shield power fluctuations. Eva calmly directed maneuvers, her focus absolute. The incident served as a stark reminder of their isolation and the inherent dangers of interstellar travel, dangers the silicates, in their transcendent state, had likely become immune to, and perhaps indifferent towards. Days turned into weeks as the Odyssey orbited Proxima b, mapping its surface, probing its atmosphere, patiently gathering data. The picture that emerged was complex and tantalizing. Thermal scans suggested potential liquid water reservoirs beneath the ice on the night side, warmed by geothermal activity. The Terminator region showed vast, wind-swept plains transitioning into rugged mountains, all under a thick ochre haze. The methane concentrations remained stubbornly high, and the magnetic fluctuations near the Terminator intensified intermittently. "The magnetic signals are patterned, Commander," Oracle reported one cycle, displaying a complex waveform analysis.
Non-random.
They correlate with geothermal energy releases mapped on the surface, but the modulation pattern is too complex for known natural phenomena. Aris felt a jolt, instantly recalling the faint, patterned leakage from the silicate core. Patterned? Like the silicate signal?
Can you decode it?
The signal structure is fundamentally different, Oracle clarified. Lower frequency appears intrinsically linked to planetary magnetosphere dynamics, not technological broadcast. Attempting pattern analysis. Possible correlation with atmospheric methane density fluctuations. It is perplexing.
A natural phenomenon mimicking intelligent design?
Or something else. The ambiguity was maddening. Could it be geological? Eva asked. Some kind of piezoelectric effect from tectonic stress interacting with the magnetic field? Possible, but the complexity of the pattern. Aris trailed off.
We need closer observation. A low altitude atmospheric probe.
This sparked the first significant disagreement since the silicate encounter. Absolutely not, Eva stated firmly. The atmosphere is thick, turbulent, and we have unknown magnetic phenomena strong enough to be detected from orbit. Sending a probe down is an unacceptable risk until we understand those fluctuations better.
We stick to remote sensing. Eva, we come 4.2 light years.
Aris countered, his voice rising. Remote sensing is giving us ambiguity. That methane, those magnetic patterns, they could be the biosignatures we're looking for. We have probes designed for atmospheric entry. It's a calculated risk. The calculation has changed, Aris, Eva retorted, her gaze steely. The silicate message taught us, if nothing else, the value of caution, the danger of unchecked ambition. Our primary mission is reconnaissance, data gathering. Losing a probe, or worse, triggering some unknown reaction down there, jeopardizes everything. Caution is one thing, paralysis is another.
Aris shot back.
Are we going to let the ghosts of the silicates dictate our science? We need to investigate. I am responsible for this ship and this crew, Eva said, her voice low but unwavering. And my assessment is that the risk outweighs the potential reward at this time. We continue orbital scans. We gather more data. We will not dive blindly into the unknown. The tension on the bridge was palpable.
Yin and Samira exchanged uneasy glances.
Aris fell silent, frustration etched on his face, but he knew Eva's authority was absolute. The debate highlighted the subtle schism the silicate warning had created. Aris saw it as a reason to be bolder, to cherish the drive and curiosity the silicates had lost, even if it meant taking risks. Eva saw it as a mandate for prudence, a reminder that survival and careful consideration were paramount. They continued their orbital vigil. Oracle tirelessly analyzed the magnetic patterns, attempting to build a predictive model. Jian monitored the ship, occasionally running simulations on how the Odyssey's systems might interact with the planet's strange magnetic field if they ventured closer. Samira documented everything, not just the scientific data, but the crew's reactions, the the debates, the evolving psychological landscape within the ship. One cycle, Oracle presented a new finding.
Commander Rostova, Dr. Thorne.
Analysis of the magnetic field patterns suggests a possible correlation with the orbital position of Proxima Centauri c, the system's outer gas giant. Tidal forces. Jen asked. Magnetic interactions between the planets? Plausible, Oracle confirmed. Gravitational stresses from Proxima c could influence geothermal activity and tectonic strain on Proxima b, which in turn could modulate the magnetic field emissions through mechanisms yet unknown. This offers a potential abiotic explanation for the pattern signals. Aris felt a pang of disappointment, but also intellectual curiosity.
A komplex geophysikal Interaktion, ten?
Simulating intelligence. The simulation remains incomplete due to unknown subsurface variables, Oracle said. However, it presents a viable non-biological hypothesis. Eva nodded, relieved.
Continue monitoring.
Refine the model.
This is good data.
It was a plausible explanation, elegant in its own way. A complex dance between planets, gravity, and magnetism, creating patterns complex enough to mimic intention. Perhaps Proxima b was merely a geologically active world, shrouded in methane-rich haze, singing a strange magnetic song to its distant sibling. Yet, doubt lingered in Aris's mind. Was it too neat an explanation? Was the universe truly playing such complex tricks, or were they letting the silicate's fate make them overly cautious, dismissing potential evidence of life because it didn't fit expected patterns or because the alternative, a world singing a magnetic song for reasons unknown, was too strange, too risky to contemplate directly? The Odyssey continued its orbit, a tiny, man-made vessel caught between the tantalizing mystery of the world below and the haunting echo of a warning from the stars behind them. The crew carried on, gathering data, maintaining their vessel, debating their findings, forever changed by the knowledge that the universe held not only the promise of discovery but also the potential for profound, unforeseen consequences on scales beyond human imagination. The silence of space seemed deeper now, filled not just with the absence of sound, but with the weight of choices yet to be made, both for the crew of the Odyssey and for the distant blue planet that awaited their message. The journey, and the search for meaning within it, was far from over. The Odyssey continued its patient vigil in orbit around Proxima Centauri b, a metallic moat circling a world swathed in ochre haze and perplexing signals. Weeks stretched into months since the initial hypothesis linking the planet's strange magnetic song to its gas giant neighbor, Proxima c. For a time, a sense of cautious resolution settled over the crew. They had found anomalies, proposed a plausible natural explanation, and continued the methodical work of mapping and analysis. But the universe rarely offers such neat conclusions, especially in the unexplored frontiers of alien star systems. The first crack in the neat geophysical explanation came not from a sudden discovery, but from Oracle's relentless, deep-level data processing. The AI, constantly refining its models, began flagging inconsistencies. Minute deviations that, individually, were within the noise margin but collectively, formed a troubling pattern. Commander Rostova, Dr. Thorne, Oracle announced during a routine systems review, its synthesized voice cutting through the low hum of the bridge. My long-term analysis of the Proxima b magnetic field fluctuations reveals persistent discrepancies with the Proxima c tidal/geothermal interaction model. Specifically, transient, high-energy magnetic pulses originating from localized points within the terminator zone exhibit modulation patterns inconsistent with predicted geological stress vectors. Aris, who had been reviewing atmospheric spectroscopy data, looked up sharply. Localized?
Transient?
Can you pinpoint the sources? Sources are variable and short-lived, typically lasting between 3.7 and 11.2 seconds, Oracle reported, displaying a rotating holographic map of Proxima b's terminator region. Tiny red sparks flashed intermittently across the twilight landscape. Locations correlate loosely with areas of high thermal gradient and complex terrain, particularly mountain ranges bordering the suspected subglacial ocean outflow plains on the night side border. However, the energy morphology and complex modulation of these pulses do not align with known piezoelectric or magnetohydrodynamic models associated purely with tectonic or geothermal activity. Probability of abiotic origin based solely on the Proxima C interaction model has decreased to 67.3%. A 30% drop in certainty. That wasn't noise. It was a significant statistical shift. Eva frowned, studying the flashing map. So, the gas giant interaction explains the background hum, but not these sparks? That is a simplified but directionally accurate summary, Commander, Oracle confirmed. What could explain them, Oracle?
Aris pressed, leaning closer to the display.
Run correlational analysis. Atmospheric events?
Deep Mantle Konvektion.
Simulations incorporating atmospheric plasma discharge and deep mantle plume activity are insufficient to replicate the observed complexity and localization of the transient pulses, Oracle replied. Introducing hypothetical models involving exotic chemiluminescent reactions under high pressure, or contained, high-energy geological venting provides partial correlation, but remains statistically weak. No known natural phenomenon fully accounts for the observed data profile. The implication hung in the air. If known natural phenomena couldn't explain it, what were they left with? Eva held up a hand before Aris could voice the obvious. Maintain focus on refining the abiotic models, Oracle. Explore combinations of factors. Let's not jump to conclusions based on insufficient data. Her caution was palpable, the silicate warning a constant whisper in her ear. But even she couldn't ignore the growing anomalies. Jen, monitoring from the engineering annex connected to the bridge, chimed in. Commander, those energy levels, even transient, might pose a risk if we lowered our orbit or deployed probes into the affected zones. We'd need precise trajectory planning to avoid them, and they seem unpredictable. Acknowledged, Jen, Eva said. Orbital parameters remain unchanged. The discovery of the transient pulses reignited the tension between Aris's scientific hunger and Eva's cautious command. Aris argued for deploying specialized microprobes, small, fast, and relatively expendable, designed to dip into the upper atmosphere above the pulse locations for direct sampling. They're too small to trigger anything significant, Eva, he argued during one heated discussion in the observation lounge. The swirling clouds of Proxima be visible through the reinforced viewport. We can get real-time chemical analysis during a pulse event. It could be the key, identifying unique isotopes, complex molecules. And they're too small to carry robust shielding, Eva countered, arms crossed. One direct hit from an energy pulse of unknown origin, and the probe is vaporized. Worse, what if the interaction does trigger something?
A Cascade-Effekt?
We know almost nothing about the energy source. The risk assessment program flags it as high danger. Risk is inherent in exploration. The silicates stagnated because they eliminated risk, eliminated the unknown. Are we honoring their warning by being paralyzed by it? We honor it by being prudent, Aris. By not blindly repeating mistakes of unchecked advancement or ambition. We are collecting invaluable data from orbit.
Wie will Analyse These Pulses remotely? Pushing too hard, too fast is reckless. A reckless? Or thorough?
Aris shot back, his frustration boiling over. How long do we circle this world, Eva, content with ambiguity while potential evidence of something extraordinary flashes beneath us? What if those pulses are biological in origin? A metabolic byproduct? A defense mechanism? Even a form of communication tuned to magnetic fields? Possibilities are not evidence, Eva stated, her voice dangerously quiet. Until Oracle can provide a model with a higher probability, or remote sensing yields conclusive data, we hold our position. That is my final decision. Aris turned away, clenching his fists, staring out at the enigmatic world below. The stalemate felt suffocating. Samira watched the exchange with growing concern. The prolonged mission, the isolation, the weight of the silicate message, and now the frustrating mystery of Proxima B were fraying nerves. She subtly increased the ambient atmospheric adjustments in the common areas, tweaking light levels and trace scents known to have calming effects, while scheduling informal check-ins with each crew member. She found herself spending more time discussing Earth history and philosophy with Oracle, feeding the AI vast amounts of data on how human societies coped with uncertainty, crisis, and paradigm-shifting discoveries. Oracle, she asked one cycle, while tending to the vibrant green rose in hydroponics, can you model the potential psychological impact on a crew confined for extended periods while facing persistent, high-stakes ambiguity combined with knowledge of a previous civilization's existential failure? Modeling psychological impact involves a high degree of variability based on individual personality matrices and coping mechanisms, Oracle responded. However, simulations indicate increased probabilities for interpersonal conflict, decision paralysis, confirmation bias, and potential degradation of adherence to protocol under prolonged exposure to such stressors. Maintaining open communication channels, reinforcing mission objectives while acknowledging uncertainties, and managing expectations are crucial mitigating strategies. It was a textbook answer, yet Samira felt Oracle was doing more than just accessing psychological databases. It seemed to be actively observing and analyzing them. Meanwhile, Jian found himself increasingly collaborating with Oracle on the mystery pulses. While Eva had forbidden probe deployment, she hadn't forbidden analysis. Jian worked with the AI to design virtual sensor arrays, using the Odyssey's main sensors in novel configurations to try and triangulate the pulse's subsurface origins or capture faint secondary emissions. It's like trying to map underwater volcanoes using only the ripples on the surface, Jian explained to Samira, showing her complex energy diffusion models. The pulses originate, blast through the crust and atmosphere, and dissipate.
Vire catching the echoes, the shrapnel.
Oracles trying to reconstruct the explosion from the fragments. Their work yielded another piece of the puzzle. During a period of unusually intense, clustered pulses in a mountainous region near the terminator, Oracle's enhanced sensor configuration detected faint, trace amounts of complex organosulfur compounds in the atmospheric layers directly above the events, compounds not readily explained by the planet's overall atmospheric composition or known geothermal outgassing. Organosulfur compounds? Aris exclaimed when Oracle presented the findings. These are often associated with anaerobic biological processes on Earth. Sulfur metabolisms. Correlation does not confirm causation, Dr. Thorne, Oracle cautioned, displaying the minuscule spectral signature. Concentrations are extremely low, near the threshold of detection. Abiotic synthesis under exotic conditions remains possible. But the data point was electrifying. Methane, patterned magnetic signals, transient energy pulses, and now organosulfur compounds. The circumstantial evidence for something unusual, perhaps even biological, was mounting. The discovery prompted Aris to propose a new, daring plan. Not a probe into the atmosphere, but a specific orbital maneuver. Eva, look, he said, bringing up a trajectory simulation co-designed with Oracle. If we dip the Odyssey's orbit slightly, just for one pass, over this specific mountain range during the next predicted pulse cluster, we can use the ship's main atmospheric mass spectrometer for direct, high-resolution sampling. It's higher risk than staying out here, but far less than sending a probe down into the pulses. We stay above the main energy discharge, sampling the plume. Eva studied the simulation, her expression unreadable. The trajectory brought them significantly closer to the planet, briefly skimming the tenuous upper edge of the stratosphere over the target zone. It was orders of magnitude riskier than their current stable orbit. Jian confirmed the technical feasibility but highlighted the narrow margins for error, especially given the unpredictable magnetic environment. The potential gain in data quality is significant, Commander, Oracle stated objectively when asked for assessment. Atmospheric density at the proposed altitude is minimal, but interaction with the magnetic pulse aftermath carries a calculated risk increase of 11.4% to shield integrity and sensor arrays. An 11% increased risk. For Eva, that was enormous. For Aris, it was an acceptable gamble for potentially revolutionary data. We came here to answer questions, Eva, Aris pleaded, his voice softer now. This might be our only chance to get data that moves beyond ambiguity. He gestured towards the viewport. Think of the silicates. Did they stop asking questions? Did they stop taking risks? Maybe that was the start of their drift. Eva remained silent for a long moment, torn between her ingrained caution, amplified by the silicate warning, and the fundamental purpose of their mission. The faces of her crew, their shared years in the void, flashed through her mind. Then she thought of Earth, waiting years for their findings, potentially heading towards its own technological crossroads. "Plot the trajectory, Jen," she said finally, her voice firm. "Calculate precise timings based on Oracle's pulse predictions. We will make one low-altitude pass.
Maximum readiness.
Shields configured for focused protection. If any parameter deviates beyond established safety margins, abort immediately. Is that understood?" A wave of relief and nervous energy washed over Aris.
Understood, Commander.
Jen nodded, already working at his console.
Plotting now.
Margins will be tight. Samira took a deep breath, her hand instinctively going to the ship's comm panel, ready to monitor biosigns and coordinate responses. The maneuver was scheduled for 3 days later, coinciding with the peak predicted activity of the magnetic pulses and the optimal orbital position. The intervening time was a blur of preparation. Jen and Oracle ran countless simulations, refining the trajectory and shield configurations. Aris prepared the mass spectrometer and other sensors for high-speed data acquisition. Eva reviewed emergency procedures until she could recite them backward. Samira ensured medical supplies were ready and tried to maintain a calm atmosphere, though the underlying tension was electric. As the Odyssey began its slow, deliberate descent from its stable orbit, the view of Proxima swelled, filling the main viewport. The ochre clouds churned below, magnificent and menacing. The Terminator Zone, a band of perpetual twilight, beckoned with its secrets. Entering upper atmospheric interface region, Jen reported, his eyes glued to the shield status display. Altitude 250 kilometers.
Atmospheric density nominal.
Magnetic field stable. For now, Oracle stated. Spectrometer activated, Aris confirmed, watching data streams pour onto his console.
T swept over the target region, a jagged spine of mountains catching the last rise of Proxima Centauri.
Below, the ground was shrouded in haze, but the ship's sensors pierced the gloom. Thermal spikes detected. Jen called out. Multiple ground sources. Incoming pulse cluster predicted in T-15 seconds. Hold steady, Eva commanded, her knuckles white on her armrest. Detecting rising magnetic flux. Oracle reported. Energy levels climbing. Suddenly, the ship jolted.
Warning lights flashed. Direct energy interaction.
Jen yelled. Minor shield fluctuation, sector gamma. It's stronger than predicted. Pulse intensity exceeding forecast by 18%. Oracle announced. Multiple secondary emissions detected.
Aris getting anüting. Eva demanded.
Yes. Reading complex molecules. High-energy ions. The organosulfur spike is massive. And, Commander, I'm seeing patterns. Repeating sequences in the ion distribution. Aris's voice was filled with disbelief and excitement.
Another jolt rockets the ship, harder this time. Shield integrity down to 92%.
Jen reported, his fingers flying across his console.
Rerouting power.
That pulse was off-axis.
Multiple energy sources now active. Oracle warned.
Pattern diverging significantly from prediction. Recommend immediate abort. Abort. Eva commanded instantly.
Yin, get us out of here. Maximum ascent burn.
Thrusters roared, pushing the Odyssey upwards, away from the turbulent upper atmosphere. Warning klaxons blared as Jen fought to stabilize their trajectory, compensating for unexpected magnetic eddies. Ascending, Jen confirmed breathlessly minutes later, as the ship clawed its way back towards a safer altitude. Clear of the main interference zone. Shields regenerating, currently at 95%. Minor sensor damage on the ventral array, but core systems are intact.
The length fell on the bridge, broken only by the receding alarms and the heavy breathing of the crew.
They had dipped their toes into the fire and pulled back, scorched but intact. Aris stared at his console, where the captured data was still resolving. The fleeting seconds of the low pass had yielded a torrent of information, complex and overwhelming. The organosulfur compounds were confirmed, in concentrations far exceeding orbital estimates. But it was the patterns he'd glimpsed, the repeating sequences in the ion distribution during the peak of the energy pulse. It felt like more than just chemistry. "Commander," Aris said slowly, his voice trembling slightly. "The data. It's incredible. The sequences Oracle is analyzing now. They show a level of structured organization far beyond random chemical reactions or simple geological venting." Eva looked at him, then at the main screen, now showing Proxima B receding below, serene and mysterious once more. They had risked much, and they had gained potentially groundbreaking data. But the risk had been terrifyingly real. The planet wasn't just singing a magnetic song, it was actively hostile, or at least dangerously energetic, in ways they didn't understand. "Analyze it, Aris," she said quietly.
Oracle, assist.
"Let's see what we found." The Odyssey climbed back to its safer orbit, licking its wounds. The crew was shaken but exhilarated. They had faced the unknown and retrieved a fragment of it. But the encounter solidified a new, unsettling reality. Proxima B was not passive. It was active, dynamic, and potentially dangerous. And buried within the energy pulses and chemical plumes Aris had sampled, lay patterns that hinted at a complexity bordering on something else. The silicate warning about unforeseen consequences echoed louder now, intertwined with the growing possibility that they were on the verge of a discovery far stranger, and perhaps far more challenging, than they had ever imagined. The question was no longer just if there was something unique on Proxima B, but what it was, and whether humanity, armed with the cautionary tale of the silicates, was truly prepared to understand it. The data retrieved during the Odyssey's harrowing skim through Proxima B's upper atmosphere became the sole focus of the bridge for days. Aris, working in obsessive synergy with Oracle, meticulously analyzed the complex ion sequences and organosulfur signatures captured in those frantic seconds. The rest of the crew gave them space, sensing the gravity of the analysis, caught between apprehension and a breathless anticipation. The ship itself seemed quieter, the usual hum a backdrop to the intense computational processes running deep within Oracle's core. Finally, Aris requested a full briefing. He looked exhausted but charged with an almost manic energy. Eva, Jen, and Samira gathered around the main holographic display where Oracle began projecting intricate, multi-layered models. "The organosulfur compounds are confirmed," Aris began, his voice hoarse but steady. "Their complexity suggests non-equilibrium chemistry, consistent with, but not definitively proving, biological processes. But that," he paused, gesturing towards a swirling pattern of light on the display, "is the crux of it. The ion distribution patterns captured during the energy pulses. Analysis indicates non-random, recursive structures with high informational content," Oracle stated, taking over the explanation. Its synthesized voice, usually calm, seemed to carry an unusual weight. Cross-referencing with known physical phenomena, complex system dynamics, and theoretical models of non-biological organization, including data structures extrapolated from the silicate core. Oracle paused, letting the silence stretch for a beat. The highest probability model, currently at 87.9%, suggests the energy pulses, associated magnetic fluctuations, and localized chemical releases are not disparate phenomena. They are interconnected manifestations of a complex, self-regulating system operating within the planet's crust and magnetosphere, primarily concentrated in the terminator zone.
A system?
Eva asked cautiously.
You mean geological feedback loops?
The system exhibits characteristics analogous to information processing and energy regulation, Oracle continued. The patterns detected within the ion distribution during pulse events show recursive complexity suggestive of computation, albeit utilizing mechanisms unrecognizable within human or silicate technological frameworks. The system appears to interact with and utilize geothermal energy and the planet's magnetic field. The closest theoretical parallel is a form of chemomagnetic lithointelligence.
Lithointelligenz. Rockintelligenz.
Or perhaps, more accurately, planet-scale intelligence, woven into the very fabric of Proxima B's geology and energy fields. A stunned silence filled the bridge. Jen stared, mouth slightly agape. Samira sank slowly into a nearby chair. Aris simply nodded, as if confirming a suspicion he hadn't dared voice.
Life. Samira whisperet.
But, not biological? The term life may be insufficient, Oracle responded. It operates on principles fundamentally different from carbon-based biology. It processes energy and information, it reacts to stimuli, as evidenced by the intensified pulses during our low pass, and it maintains complex internal organization. Whether this constitutes life or consciousness requires a philosophical and semantic framework beyond current human definitions. The pulses. They reacted to us, Jian murmured, recalling the jolts that had rocked the ship.
Defensively.
Or reflexively, Aris countered.
Like touching a vast, sleeping creature.
We don't know the mind, if any, behind it. It might not even perceive us as anything other than an unexpected energy input. He looked at the swirling display. It's vast, ancient, potentially planetary in scale. Woven into the rock, feeding on geothermal energy, thinking with magnetic fields.
Eva stood motionless, absorbing the colossal implications.
They hadn't found microbes or plants. They had potentially found a planetary consciousness, utterly alien, operating on principles they could barely model, let alone comprehend. The silicate warning took on a terrifying new dimension. They had warned against the hubris of unchecked technological ambition leading to existential stagnation. But what about the hubris of encountering something so fundamentally different, so potentially powerful, and assuming you could understand or interact with it without catastrophic consequences? Commander, Oracle stated, further investigation, particularly any attempt at direct interaction or deeper atmospheric penetration, carries unpredictable risks. The system's response patterns are not understood. Its full capabilities are unknown. The energy levels observed during pulse events indicate a capacity for planetary-scale energy manipulation. The implicit warning was clear.
Pok se giant, and you nicht not survive the consequences.
Eva looked at Aris. His eyes, though filled with the fire of discovery, also held a new depth of awe and perhaps fear. The drive to know was still there, but tempered by the sheer scale of what they had potentially found. Your recommendation, Dr. Thorne? Eva asked quietly. Aris took a deep breath. We found something.
Something incredible.
Maybe life, maybe a precursor, maybe something else entirely. But Oracle's right. It's beyond our current capacity to safely investigate, let alone understand. We risk not only ourselves, but potentially disrupting something we have no right to interfere with. Our job was reconnaissance. We found the unimaginable. Now we report it. Eva nodded slowly, a profound sense of responsibility settling over her. She thought of the silicates, who had perhaps achieved unity but lost their spark. She thought of this potential planetary intelligence, vast and ancient, perhaps lacking individuality as humans knew it, but undeniably present. Different paths, different outcomes, all humbling in their implications. Samira, Eva ordered, her voice regaining its command tone.
Prepare the final data transmission package.
Include everything, the low-pass data, Oracle's analysis, the litho-intelligence hypothesis, sensor logs, personal logs, everything. Emphasize the unknowns, the risks, and the assessment that further direct investigation is unadvisable with current technology. Jian, she continued, prepare the ship for departure from the Proxima Centauri system. Plot a course towards our next survey target, Kepler 186f system. There was no mention of returning home. Their long mission continued. Oracle, Eva concluded, include a final addendum to the silicate warning package already en route to Earth.
Reference this discovery.
Frame it as evidence of the universe's profound diversity and the potential for intelligence or complex systems to arise in forms utterly alien to human experience. A reason for profound caution and humility in our own explorations and development. As Samira and Jian set to their tasks, a sense of closure, albeit a deeply unsettling one, descended. They had reached their first major objective. They hadn't found a second Earth, but the reality was infinitely stranger, more complex, and more awe-inspiring. The final transmission burst towards Earth, a complex stream of data carrying news that would, years hence, fundamentally alter humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. It was a message containing two revelations, a warning from a civilization that had lost its way in achieving technological perfection, and a baffling report of a world that might be alive in a way no human had ever conceived. With the transmission sent, the Odyssey slowly, silently pivoted in the void. The main thrusters ignited, a controlled burn pushing the ship away from Proxima Centauri, away from the red dwarf and its enigmatic, potentially sentient planet. On the bridge, the crew watched the angry red star shrink in the viewport, eventually becoming just another bright point among countless others. They carried the weight of their discoveries, the ghostly echo of the silicates, the magnetic song of Proxima b. Their journey into the great unknown was far from over, but they were irrevocably changed. They were no longer just searching for life, they were guardians of a profound warning and witnesses to a mystery that challenged the very definition of existence. Aris Thorne stood by the observatory window long after Proxima was lost to sight, staring into the star-dusted blackness. Humanity, poised on the cusp of its own potential transformations back on Earth, would soon receive their messages. How would they react? Would they heed the silicate warning? Would the mystery of Proxima inspire caution and wonder, or fear and reckless ambition? The Odyssey sailed on, a tiny vessel carrying immense questions through the infinite silence. The hum of its engines was a lonely sound in the vastness, a testament to the fragile, audacious spark of one species reaching out, only to find the universe stranger, more complex, and more magnificent than they had ever dreamed. The search continued, not just for new worlds, but for wisdom, humility, and humanity's uncertain place among the stars.